It's Tiffany of Whitney and Tiffany, and I am bringing you this tutorial today because many people were interested in the final edit. So I am just going to show you and walk you through what I did for my workflow for this image. So the first thing I'm going to do is hit Command J. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to select my subject. The first thing I did in all these images was just try to blend the snow in the back a little bit. And then I'm going to hit Command J, go on to my background and hit Command J again. And I'm just going to grab my spot healing. Sorry. It's been a day already. My spot healing tool, when you have to click on it to remember the name of it. And I'm just going to heal this a little bit to try to blend it. And then anything that I'm unable to blend seamlessly through here, I am going to use my mixer brush tool. So I'm just going to go down here and grab that. And I'm at 30 and then 25% across the board here. And I'm just going to draw some circles. And the reason why I selected my subject and moved them to a different layer is now I can go across them and I'm not blending their skin. And then I'm going to make this a little bit larger and just sweep it across the bottom a little bit, a couple times here. All right, so if I turn that off and on, you can see how that blends that. Okay, so I am going to flatten these down and then I'm going to open up our actions. And I've talked about this a bunch. I've posted it in the group, but my go-to actions are these from the Heirloom collection. So the colored one, not our fine art with the black and whites, but I use these bases on 100% of my images. So I think I used clean. I did these images like 2 weeks ago and I had done a recording and somehow lost it. So I'm redoing it again. Let me just turn this off and on. So clean is just going to give us some clarity, sharpen them up, brighten it up. I'm going to turn that off and try number 2. So I usually alternate between the two of these. I don't typically edit my images very cool, but if you do, the cool one is amazing as well. All right. So here is Fine Art Warm 2 will warm it, but also brightens it. So I'm going to turn that off and then I'm going to try clean. I'm going to use a combination of the two of them, but I'm just going to bring this down. And then I also used for this particular image from our bold collection, I used bold and bright on a low opacity. So I'm going to run that. Okay, so just giving them a little bit more contrast. And then I am going to, this is one of my favorites. It's again in the Heirloom collection. It's called Bright and Subject. So I'm going to run that and it's going to be very bright. So especially if you are shooting backlit subjects outdoors, this action is a lifesaver. But since we are indoors with studio lighting, I don't need to brighten them up very much. I'm just going to brighten them a little bit. And then I am going to use Pop the Details. This mom was so great with textures. She came over and we went through my client closet and then she dressed her son. And so I'm going to use this Pop the Details to bring out the texture and detail on some of their clothing. Just going to go over all of the fun little candies and the red lace. Brighten up their shoes a little bit. All right. So if I zoom in here for you, so you can see the kids, turn that off and then back on, you can see what that's doing. It's literally what it's called, popping those details. And then I love, these girls have beautiful hair as is, but I am going to use this painterly hair. So again, this is all included in the Heirloom collection. And I'm just going to go through, and this is going to soften their hair. They have the most beautiful hair. And it's like, the mom had messaged me at like 6 a.m. I think their session was at 9. And she was like, I already have their hair curled. And I was thinking, how do their hair look this amazing hours after curling it? Because when I curl my hair or Kinley's hair, it's done. It's done in 10 minutes. All right, so I can turn this off and back on, and you can see that it just softens the hair. I'm actually going to do it on his little boots down here too. Okay, so then I am going to skip down. Again, this is all included. This is still an action that is in the Heirloom collection, and I'm going to just run a basic contrast. And then to add some contrast to the image, I'm going to bring that down. Okay, I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to run golden contrast and see which one I like better. That's going to add a little bit of warmth and contrast. I'm just going to stick with my basic contrast. And I brought that down to about 25%. Okay, so now I'm going to add in just something to the windows. This is from our glitter collection. And I think I used this number 10. Yes. So I'm going to put this to screen mode. And I'm going to move this over here, hit enter, and then I'm going to just Command J and grab my move tool and move it over here to this window. All right, then I'm going to click on here and add a layer mask and grab a black brush so that I can take the glitter off of areas that are not on the window. And do the same thing with the other one. So that's just going to brighten up our windows a little bit. And the other images that were landscaped, it really looked great. All right, so now that I have that done, I'm going to work on their skin and their eyes. So I am going to use, these are our eye actions. I love our eye actions. If you've watched my tutorials before, you know this. I think they are the best that I've ever used. They're a lot faster than doing it all manually. So you open this up and there's a number of things. So the one thing that I always do first is this brighten eye and socket, but I need a white brush, not a black brush. And I'm just going to hold that over their eyes. And then click. And I am going to drop the opacity. You can do either or. You can adjust the flow or the opacity. The kicker and key light, we can make a really tiny little brush just to bring out okay. And then you can whiten their eyes, which we don't need. This is actually, his are a little bit, I'm going to brighten his because he is a little shaded here. So I'm just going to try to add a little brightening to his eye whites. Turn that off and on. You can just see what that does. The girls don't really need it. I'll go do a little bit here. All right, and then I always like to do adjust eye color. Going to make a little bit bigger brush and stamp this. On their eyes. And you can change the color or enhance. I do sometimes, but So like right now their eyes are glowing, like, wow, that's scary. You obviously need to adjust. I usually go about 25%, but if you'd like to change the color of their eyes, you can add in blue, green, whatever you want. Darken the limbal ring, which I don't need to do. If it's a close-up portrait, sometimes I do that. And then I always go through and sharpen their eyes. So I can collapse the group and turn this off and back on, and you can see what that does to their eyes. But then I always zoom out because you don't want them to have like glowing, crazy eyes. So sometimes I'm going to drop this, and then I'm going to go down to where we did the kicker and key light, and I'm just going to drop that a little bit as well. Okay, so turning that off and on, you can see that that just brightens up their eyes. And then I'm going to do our cheeks, lips, and teeth. I believe that this one's in our skin package. So what I like about this is you can change the color if you don't like it. The mom had makeup on the girls already. So I'm just going to add a little bit of color to their cheeks and turn that off and on. I like to feather it out quite a bit and then drop it even a little bit lower. The girls both had lipstick on, so I'm not going to do that. I am going to just run the teeth whiten on them. If you have a client who has very yellow teeth, you can just Command J this and it'll help out. His little teeth. And then I love this all over glow. I will use it for on their little noses. Give a little bit more glow. And sometimes I run it on the eyes as well. All right. So if I close that down and turn that off and on, you can see what that's doing there. Now I am going to, people keep asking, how do I get the skin so smooth? I use our frequency separation action. I want to say it's like $5, maybe 10. I know it's not more than 10. And when people ask, like, we don't do sales, we really don't do many sales because we try to price our actions at very affordable prices so that people can buy them at any time. So that's why we don't run sales. All right, I'm just going to run the frequency separation action. I updated my Photoshop and it's weird. It's fine. I just click continue. All right, so we start with the texture edit. So when you start with that, you have the clone tool already highlighted for you. And this is great for like these little hairs. You want to go through and you just click just like you do with the clone tool to get a texture, and you take that away. So I typically use it like if there's hairs that are on the face. So I'm just hitting Option and clicking, and then I'm going here to take that away. So I'm clicking on an area that is smooth. I mean, they don't really have many hairs out of place. Their mom was on it. She definitely understood the assignment. Here we've got, whoops, a little bit. But in an effort to save time, I'm not going to go through and do all of these. But I will show you. I'm just clicking again on an area that is smooth. And then running through. So this is great for like stray hairs. You get those beautiful portraits where they have them across the eyes. This will take care of that. Okay, so I'm not going to go through and get every single hair, like I said, just in an effort to save time. But I'll just show you. See, they disappear. Great if they have like dry patches on their knees or on their elbows. You can also use this to take care of that. We are in Wisconsin. It's already cold. We get ashy skin. All right. So the blur and the color is where it's going to smooth the skin. So you select blur color edit, the edit layer, and I'm grabbing my mixer brush tool. And like I said before, I was at 25 across the board and then, 30 for the wetness. So that's how much it's going to take. The wetness is like you're using paint, wetness of the paint. All right, I'm just going to zoom in now. And I'm just going to make circular motions here, bring some of the lightness over to this darker area. But then also I don't want it to be glaringly bright there. I'm gonna go over here. This is also great to remove dark areas under the eyes or harsh shadows. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just grabbing an area over here that's lighter. If your subject has acne, that's where you would use, well, I would use the healing brush first, and then I would go through with the texture edit brush. All right, so he had some redness. I'm gonna hit Command Z there because that went into his eye. So I used this to get rid of his redness. So I'm just, again, grabbing from the color over here, and it's going to drag and mix together. Hence the mixing brush. Cute little cheek, just such an adorable little family. They were great listeners. I was like, oh, I'll take you guys back anytime. And I'm just using my bracket keys to make my brush larger and smaller. All right, I'm just gonna turn this off and on so you can see how we're getting rid of that red patch. I'm gonna drag some of this here. All right. And then the lighting is pretty good on her face, pretty even. She had some discoloration right here under her lip, which sometimes we get like almost that purplish look. So we can just mix that together. My daughter has dark circles under her eyes, so this action really helps with eliminating that. And we actually have an under eye correct as well that I'll use on my daughter because hers do get very dark, but these kids don't need that. Okay, so, and then sometimes I will use it on their legs and arms as well, just to smooth out a little bit, and then I'll add some dodging and burning later. Okay, so I can zoom in a little bit and I will turn that off and on. And then you can see it just smooths out the areas of their skin that are either uneven or have harsh shadows. Okay, like I said, when I did this, I updated my Photoshop, something weird happened with this action. So rather than addressing the situation, Whitney would be so terrified by this, or mortified, I should say. I'm just going to flatten my image and hit OK. All right, so now I am going to, I'm trying to think of, I'm going to hit Command J, and I'm just going to go to luminosity and grab a burn tool, and I'm just going to do a little bit of dodging and burning. Their little eyebrows. She has cute little dimples. And then I'll grab my dodge tool, and I always like to dodge above the eyes. Adding some light onto the face. He, like I said, is shadowed a little bit here, so I'm going to go back down into our Heirloom collection, and I am going to increase the shadows. So as you can see, that's increasing all of our shadows. I am going to click on here, hit Command I to invert that, and I am going to grab a brush, and I'm going to just paint this on him right here. So if I turn that off and on, you can see I'm just going to bring it down a little bit more. Just wanted to bring those shadows off his face just a tad. He was also a little red, so that's going to take away from that. Okay, so some people were asking about, like, we have final sharpening actions that are also included in there. So we're asking about the sharpening. Actually, I have to go back to this. Sorry. Squirrel moment. I'm just going to run this on their legs and then head up here. Okay, so I'm going to do layer, new adjustment layer, and curves. And I'm going to grab this, bring this down, and hit Command I to invert it. And then I am going to just run this and do some, oops, I need a brush. That would be helpful. To bring out the dimensions of their dresses. I'm going to change the color of her hat too to match her dress perfectly. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing. New adjustment layer and curves. I'm going to come up here, hit Command I, and then I'm going to bring some brightness into their hair, some highlights, and then I'm just going to grab the areas where the light is already hitting, and I'm just enhancing that a little bit more on his little pants. I'm gonna make a really big brush. All right, and brighten that up. And then I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. So it's just bringing more light to it. Okay. And then this is in our winter collection. I use this on almost every single image. It's called Holiday Pop. And this is where you're going to get that sharpening and that clarity. So I'm going to hit that Holiday Pop. It's usually the last thing that I add to an image. Okay, so I'm going to leave it zoomed out, turn it off, and turn it on. So as you can see, it's really just, it's doing exactly that, making it pop. So I can zoom in on them, turn it off, and turn it on. And you can see what that does. I absolutely love this action. Like I said, I use it on almost every image, sometimes at 100%. Sometimes I bring it down. I'm loving the way that this looks, so I'm going to leave it. Now, one more thing that's also in our winter collection that I'm going to run, and I'm not going to keep it on here, but this is, we have snow and lights too. The lights are also amazing. Like if you have a lantern, I'm just going to hit this so that you can see. If you have like a lantern, you can light it up with one click. And if I want, I can kind of leave that there and just, again, it's making that pop a little bit more in the background. So it's amazing. You can, and then you can add a flame, like a candle flame, so on and so forth. So anyway, it's really great. But this Run the Blizzard, I'm going to hit, and this one takes a little bit longer, and it tells you this because it's processor intensive, but it's worth it. So I'm going to run this on this image just to show you exactly what it does and how easy it is to add snow to your images. So we'll just give this a second. And I love it because you can take it as is, or you can mess with different parts of it. So we'll just give this a second to run. Sometimes I will flatten my image before because I feel like it runs a little bit faster, but we didn't have a ton of layers, so. And it could just be that my computer's getting old and I really need to get a new one. Whitney's literally messaging me right now asking about uploading the videos. So these should be coming very soon. I think it's going. Sorry this is taking so long. I just made a 25-minute tutorial 30 minutes to wait for this, but it's really cool, so I just want you guys to see. All right, hooray, we're done. Okay, so we can open this up. So the first thing that I always do is obviously mask this off of our subject. So I'm going to do this quickly so that I can get this tutorial over with. But so this, we can open up and we can turn things off. So like that, the haziness that's on it. And if you don't want to completely turn it off, you can drop the opacity. So I like the contrast in this one. So I would probably take the foreground off, but it adds in a little bit extra with the snow. But if like we're in Wisconsin and you're outdoors and it is snowy, you may actually want that entire thing. So there's a weird drop right here, which reminded me that I didn't change the color of her thing. So I am going to flatten this one down. I should probably make sure that I've got it off of my subjects, especially just their faces for sure. Okay, so, and then if you want, you can just drop the opacity of the whole thing. It just adds in extra snow and it's one click. So really quickly, I'm going to do layer, new layer, hit OK and grab my eyedropper tool, click on her dress and paint this on her hat. And then I'm going to change the blending mode to color, and I'm going to drop the opacity. Just a little spot here. Okay, so that is just going to make the hat match her dress a little bit better. I'll leave it at color. Okay, so all right, this is our final image then. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We are more than happy to help you. I guess I could take a screenshot of this so that you can see. Here is the image when we started it, and here is where I finished. So again, here's where we started and finished. All right, thanks so much, guys.